So what I want to talk about today could be one of the most important things when it comes to sales. And it's very simple. When a client is ready to buy, stop selling. Just stop selling them. And what this comes from is a lot of people in retail space, or it comes from a lot of people in professional development spaces that I've helped, where they don't recognize buying signals. And not recognizing buying signals can be hugely detrimental, because what that'll do is ultimately push you away from the client, push you away from a sale that's already there. So what I want to do is I want to tell you guys about a handful of buying signals to watch out for. With these things in mind, when you see these things individually or a couple of them as a cluster, it's a very good indicator that people are ready to buy, and you should be ready to pull the trigger and sell to that client. First thing is just generally paying attention to body language, right? Pay attention to people and how they're acting to what you're saying. If they're just standing there stoically, just arms crossed, not really interested, looking around, it's not a buying signal for confirmation. But if they're nodding, yeah, you're talking to them about a product, about the benefits of the product, whatever it is, and they're nodding their head in agreement, or alternatively, they're manhandling the product, right? They want to get their hands on it. They want to see what it's like. They want to play with it. Let's say you're selling cameras, and people are playing with the camera. They're trying to figure out how different things work here or there. These are both really good affirmations that a client is ready to buy. So pay attention to body language. Pay attention to what their hands are doing. Those two items are number one, right? So paying attention to nodding and paying attention to what their hands are doing, their body language. Number two, pay attention to the questions that a client is asking or a prospect is asking you. You guys have all seen it. If a prospect is not interested, they're probably not going to ask you many questions about a product. They don't want to know more than the absolute minimum to just kind of get you out of the way and move on their day. So if they start asking about things like different sizes that you may have, let's say you're selling a couch, right? Let's say you're selling furniture, and they want to know, do you have a love seat available, or do you have this available with a matching recliner? Do you have this available in different colors or different patterns? Things like that. If they're asking defining questions about a product, it's a very good indicator for selling, right? It's a very good selling point that you should be tagging in on. The third one would be things like, so let's keep with the furniture approach. People making possessive statements, right? So if you have a client in your showroom and they're saying things like, "Oh man, this would look really good in the house," or they're talking to their spouse or whoever they have with them and saying, "Hey, this would look really good in the office," or "This would look really good in the living room." If they're making statements that are around possessive statements as if they already own the product and they're imagining themselves with the product, it's a huge selling indicator and a very positive point to sell on that indicator. So start asking them questions like, exactly where would you see this, and start processing that image in their mind so they can see that product in their house. The fourth one would be things like price, right? So if people are asking questions about price, and not just price, right? Not just how much is it. Things like, do you have financing? Right? Do you guys have financing available, or do you offer bulk incentives? Right? Things like that. More definition and defining questions around price. That's another very good indicator for selling, and a very good buying signal. The next one I want to talk about is start or delivery date, right? So people start talking about delivery dates. They start talking about start dates of a product or an offering that you're going to do for them. Again, what they're doing is they're putting things into a possessive context, right? They're starting to see how this is going to fit into their space, how this is going to fit into their day-to-day with the timeline that you have available. And the last thing I want to talk about is risk mitigation, right? So if people are starting to look at protecting their investment, whether it be a warranty or a refund policy or return policy. People are asking those types of questions. What they're doing is they're understanding, or they're trying to understand, the risks versus the reward. And if they're understanding or trying to go down the path of the risk versus reward, they've already made a decision towards the buying end of things, and they want to understand what their risk may be. They may have bought a similar product or a similar type of service before, and they're just trying to understand, will they get burnt, or maybe they have been burnt in the past, and how do they protect themselves. So these are 6 kind of really important buying signals that could help you guys close more sales. The worst thing that we could do as salespeople is push people away from a sale by not understanding the buying signals and their intent. So let's try on 2021 to understand intent and understand buying signals from these clients. Thanks.